Good evening, good afternoon, or good morning to you racing fans. Welcome to Virtual Auto Sports here live on Twitch TV. The Forza Spec Racing Series Season 30. That's 3-0. Season 30, week number 3 coming at you. And as I mentioned there during the countdown, this is the halfway point of the season. They start the second half of Season 30 here with the second race tonight. So we'll have 2 races, as we always do, leading up to that grand finale there on week 5th, which will take place on November 5th. They'll be racing around the Yas Marina North Circuit. But hey, before we get to that, and before we even get to our week 4 races, we've got the grand old Laguna Seca, my favorite track in the Forza Motorsport 7 franchise, heading out to Monterey, California, USA. As a matter of fact, both tracks you will find here in the United States, part of the world. And it starts again out at Monterey with the Laguna Seca 2.24-mile track, before then heading out to Virginia, Alton, Virginia, USA, for the South Course of Virginia International Raceway. I'm Dustin Moore. Great to be broadcasting to you live here on Twitch, as we do here on Tuesdays. Just started back about 2 weeks ago with the kickoff of Season 30, and I'm glad to be back. Sober David saying, long time no see. Good to see you, Sober David. Nice to have you here. And yes, I took a bit of a break there through the latter half of August all the way through September. Rejoined the FM4 team here in October because, man, although I'm not back to streaming at full capacity, I really dearly missed broadcasting these events that Slow Motion Fire and the whole crew of racers, what they put on Tuesday nights. It's made my Tuesday nights better. I hope it can do the same for you. Sober David saying, where are the points for 9th through 16th? Oh, no, did I forget them? Oh, no. Well, that's a great question, Sober David. I'm glad you asked. Let's try to fix that. We can fix that real quick. I can make that fix happen. That's a great question. I don't know what happened to the points for those other positions. I really don't, and that's a bummer because, like I said, we've got a lot of storylines to talk through. So before we proceed any further, let me go ahead and get that fixed real quick. And pardon me, that's going to require a little bit of behind-the-scenes finagling to get that going here. Let's see. Looking for the standings. There they are. Let me go ahead and start typing those in. Oh, my gosh. I can't believe I left those out. How does that happen? How does that happen? All right, let's see here. Stand by. As you'll notice on the left-hand side, I'll talk through the left-hand side while I work on the middle bits. And then, of course, you can see 17, 18, their respective points. And let me see. Do I have the points? Actually, I have the points. I just blocked them out for some reason. Let me verify that those are correct. And if they are correct, then I don't have any work to do, and I can just save this and we can show you the latest and greatest points. But let me verify before I throw them up there, and then they're all incorrect. Slow Motion Fire 68, Proud Beetle 62, Celtic or Celtic Warrior at 60, 58, 46, 44, 44, 40, 34. Boom shakalaka. Well, there you go. Well, we've never had that happen before, and I guess that's what happens when you become a part-time race commentator. And let me go ahead and save that for you all, and then we'll be as good as gold. Yeah, there, take a look. Look at that, on the fly, on the spot. Statistical, well, it's not really stats, but I mean, it's something. It's points. And yes, let me go ahead and throw it out there that I like to throw in, well, let me rephrase that. I like to take out the drop week points and show you just what really counts for the championship. No, this does not include both weeks. This is taking the best week of points for our drivers that you see there on the screen, and only the best points. That week where they had fewer points, we're not looking at you, Mesosphere, because you've gone back to back to back to back. But for everybody else, they're taking their top week out of the 2 so far, and that's what you see there. So Mesosphere, 2 100 weeks back to back, Obviously, we'll keep one and we'll drop the other for now until maybe there's another week, perhaps here tonight, where somebody's able to dethrone him from that top spot, either out here at Laguna Seca or Virginia International Raceway, the South Circuit. Then you've got Cratrium. This guy, if there was a Forza Spec Racing Series Hall of Fame, I would nominate him in. If they gave me nominating or voting power, I would vote him in. He's got 9 championships here in FM4, and he's trying to go for that 10th. He's trying to make it a dynasty. If 9 championships wasn't enough, let's just say that 10 would make it an official dynasty, a one-man dynasty there with Cratrium at 92, but he's tied with Crimson. He and Crimson actually split a couple of silver and bronzes there in week number 2. And so those two are currently tied. Audrex, unfortunately, they're in week number 2 having a dreadful finish out at Rio, finished 13th. That may have been a DNF. I'd have to double check on that. But either way, that week 2 is currently his drop week, so 85 points there from week number 1. Funtang at 83, finished 7th and 9th place back there at Rio. And what was our first track? Monza and then Rio. So Drex sitting there at a cool 4th position and actually didn't even move from week to week. And I was speaking of Funtang instead, there in 7th and 9th. So he didn't move either. Slipstream, 83 points. Slipstream jumped up to 6th position out of nowhere because he did not participate in week number 1, but because he was able to make it for week 2, finds himself running currently in 6th. Behind him, with the little arrow next to his name, Fear the Fun. Fantastic finish there in week number 2. I would say the most impressive back-to-back performance in week 2 for a driver who did not finish in the top 3. He was able to come away with 2 6th-place finishes out there again at Monza and then at Rio. Able to manage that. That was pretty good considering all the chaos there in race number 2. Then in 8th place, it's Iceman Misfit with 70 points. He did not race, did not participate in week number 2. And as I look at the list of drivers who are currently in the lobby, I do not see Iceman Misfit. So hopefully we'll get him out here tonight. If not, then we'll definitely see him fall down the leaderboard and then become ineligible for the championship, or out of range at least. It'll be hard to make up that difference. Slow Motion Fire then starts our middle order there, 9th through 16th. Slow Motion Fire able to join in on the second race of week number 2, unable to participate in the first. So 68 points comes from his week 1 finish. And then you got Proud Beetle there in 62 points at 10th position. He had 2 top 10s. 2 top 10 finishes in week number 2. This coming after a DNF there in week number 1, race number 1. So Proud Beetle able to turn things around and grab himself 62 points. One name that I want to look out for in addition to another, and I'll get to that second one here shortly, but Celtic Warrior with 60 points. 60 points there for Celtic Warrior. And then Joe Bearty down there in 13th position on the leaderboard at 46 points. Those two split 3 top 10s there in week number 2. Their first time appearing here in FM4. It was Celtic Warrior who grabbed the 2 top 10 positions, and then Joe Bearty able to snag one in race number 2. You see Presto is Besto there in 12th. TFX, it's PJ Dude in 14th. Modern Weapon in 15th. Gotta Go Fast. Born as Ghost. And Papalak, who we have not seen since early on in race, in week number 1. I believe that was race number 1. Got a DNF, and then we haven't seen him since. So hopefully we'll get more drivers out here on the grid. Again, if you are not yet in the fold for season 30, that's okay. Get out here and race with these guys and get ready for season number 31. I suspect maybe season 31 will happen before the end of the year. I'm only assuming. Slow Motion Fire will verify for us, but if you get out here and race with these folks either tonight or later on through the remaining 3 weeks here of season 30, that gets you in a good position to understand what is the makeup, what is the diversity like of these drivers, what's it going to be like out there on the track when you start fresh, all the points are rolled back to 0, and then you're in the running for the championship. The driver who comes away with the most points here in season 30 not only gets the bragging rights, but then also picks the vehicle for season 31. And as I mentioned, the champion, as we think about who might be in the mix, who's going to take it and run away with the champion. Well, who might run away with the championship? The easy name to think of is Mesosphere, currently at the top of the leaderboard, again, with 4 straight top the top finishes all the way at there in first place, hasn't fallen below that in any of the 4 races thus far. Could he run away with it? And if he does, this will be his first Forza Spec Racing Series Championship, where he'll get a chance to pick the car for 31 or season 31. Mesosphere saying hello. Funtang as well. Slow Motion Fire says, I have 100 points. Help you fill this in, says Slow. You do not have 100 points there, Slow Motion Fire. Sober David say, there you go. Leaderboard are still, there's still stats. That works. Slow Motion Fire, I hear Meza is taken to hauling a broom around in the trunk, so he's trying to go for the sweep all... What is it? 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 races. 9 races in a season. And Sober David says, if I were here, I see myself being lap traffic. And that's quite all right. Even if you are lap traffic, somebody has to finish first. Somebody has to finish last. It might as well be you. And if you're finishing last, then maybe hopefully over time, you build up that skill and then find yourself picking somebody on the grid that you compete more closely with. And if you're able to best them over time and then find somebody else and go beyond them and get better and better, then you too may be in the running for a top 10 finish, top 5 finish, top 3, maybe that top spot overall, and then coming away with the championship. We've seen some miraculous things happen in the Forza Motorsport community, so do not think that by any stretch of the imagination are you out of it before you even give yourself a chance. Sober David says, no, not if I'm running automatic. So if you're running automatic, well, and that's the great thing about the Forza Spec Racing Series is that no matter what your assist preferences are, use those here in FM4. That way, make yourself the most competitive. Whatever it is that you need, that you want and able to make yourself most competitive, that's all fine and well. You bring that out here to the track and see what you can do with some of these other drivers. I guarantee you some of these guys are running some assists that maybe you're thinking, gosh, I don't believe that they're running assists. Well, they probably are, some of them. And then, again, over time, you hone your skill, you get better over time, and perhaps you find yourself pulling some of those assists off, making yourself a little bit quicker. Crimson saying it's also mathematically possible for new joints to win. Crimson, I mean, mathematically, assuming that Meza, doesn't participate in the next 3 weeks, then sure, yeah, it's still mathematically possible. But really, if you join now, the advantage that you have is getting acclimated to the structure of FM4 that includes how they do the qualifying, 3 laps of qualifying, ghosted cars, go around the track, set your best time, get out there on the track for a race. They're usually about 30, 40 minutes long. In the case of Laguna Seca here for our first one, we'll have 19 laps around that 2.24 mile track. And then you do it all over again for race number 2, leading up to that finale in the 5th week, which is kind of an endurance event to a certain degree. Again, here in Season 30, Yas Marina, the North Circuit at night is the track of choice for 56 laps. Who do you think is going to win here in week number 3, starting with Laguna Seca? Let me know. Put it there in the chat. Oh my gosh, the coffee has maybe got me a little wound up here. But I'm really excited. Like I said, it's not just the coffee. It's the fact that Tuesdays, man, I just loathe Tuesdays. And then I get home from work and I scramble to the computer because shortly after I arrive, I got to get everything ready. And then it's time for some racing. And I really am glad and happy to be back in the seat doing this and watching these drivers do their thing out here on the track on Tuesdays, making my Tuesday that much better. And hopefully, again, doing the same for you. Currently in the lobby, and I'll leave the leaderboard up here for the next minute or two before we get out to qualifying here at the top of the hour. But, before I go through the lobby, SBessie05, who I'd mentioned at the countdown of the show, thank you for that follow. And everybody, if you're watching for the first time or maybe you just haven't clicked that follow button, please do. It lets me know as the broadcaster that you enjoy the content here on Virtual Auto Sports, and that way it makes myself feel better. I'll either way. If you want to lurk and not follow, that's fine. If you want to follow and lurk, that's cool. If you want to follow and chat and engage with me throughout the broadcast, double thumbs up. I definitely welcome that. And then Sober David, thank you very much for that host a few minutes ago. Appreciate that. So currently in the lobby, Mesosphere, as we would expect, Cray Trim, Fear the Fun, Funtang, Crimson, Born as Ghost, Joe Bearty, again, the new name as of last week, who has joined out on the track and was able to pick up one of the top 10 finishes last week, so keep your eye out for him. Skier Kid joining the FM4 crew for the first time, at least in the time that I've been broadcasting those events. Same goes for Ronin44. Good to see a couple of new names, and then I jump down below Slow Motion Fire, and there's Myrtle H, another new name, CMD Slipstream, Celtic Warrior, and then Audrex. Again, the SRT ACR, the American Club Racing Dodge Neon, is the car of choice here for Season 30. That was care of Cratrium? Yes, Cratrium, who picked up his ninth championship there in Season number 30. And so that's the car we'll be running here not only tonight, but next Tuesday and then the Tuesday after that for the finale. Let's go ahead and get things switched over for you all to see what that lobby looks like, and let me know if the audio doesn't work here. I was having some issues during the countdown to the broadcast where the desktop audio was not happening. So let me know if you guys can't hear anything. Don't want to give you a bad broadcast experience at all. We want a beautiful broadcast experience for you. Lots of new AM racers here tonight, says Slow Motion Fire. Love to hear it. Love to see it. Love seeing new gamer tags, learning about new drivers jumping in, and as we go in between the qualifying and in between qualifying and races, we'll talk to some of these drivers in our driver spotlight care of Discord. Again, all these details, if you're interested in participating in FM4, over at reddit.com/r/FM4. That way you can get details on where their Discord is, so that you can be listening in to what's happening on the racetrack as you go around the course, being, obviously cognizant of chatter, trying to keep that to a minimum, but letting everybody know, hey, this is what's happening on the track. There's a wreck. I'm going in for pits, whatever the case may be. And then during the breaks, we will talk to some of the drivers. So if you are participating here tonight, go over to that queue for interview section of the Discord after we get done with the qualifying here, and would love to chat with you. Sean, 1528, what time do these races go? So we'll have our first race here in about 15 minutes after qualifying, and when it's all said and done, we'll be wrapping things up at about 8:45 Central Time, 9:45 Eastern Time. Sober David saying the audio is working. Good to hear it. Might as well bet on whether Meza would get the sweep, says Sober David. That's a great question. Will Mesosphere get the sweep? We talked to him last week, and he says, hey, I'm out here to win. Not just the championship, but everything. And so he's looking for the sweep, and Slow Motion Fire joking about having a broom in the trunk or the boot, hoping to be able to put that to use here in Season 30. If he can go all 9 races, can anybody stop him? That's the question. And here we go out to Laguna Seca. Again, 2.24 miles here at Monterey, California, USA. And it's the final race of the first half here of Season 30. And it's going to be Celtic Warrior, going to be the first one off the line, heading up this little bit of a kink here as you head up the hill and then back down. That's turn 1. Then turn 2 is this hairpin by the name of Andretti hairpin. And oh my gosh, does that front rim look a little bit wobbly to you all? It most certainly does to me. There on Celtic Warrior's car as he heads now into turn 3. We'll go underneath the Continental Tire bridge. I always forget which tire manufacturer it is. And then turn 4, kind of a tricky corner here, at least for me. You got to be careful. You got the sand trap to the outside on your left. For these Dodge Neons, it's going to be your driver's side. And then you line it up here for turn 5 to head up the hill. A nice, partly cloudy to mostly sunny day here, Monterey, California. A beautiful fall evening here in South Central Texas, where I'm broadcasting from. Hope you guys are enjoying, I don't know, what are we, midway through fall or maybe a quarter of the way through fall? Up the Ray Hall straight goes Celtic Warrior. Now here you come to the corkscrew, and this is a fun one. Turn 7, 8, and 8A. Back down the hill. You got to be careful as a driver. Mind your P's and Q's. Try to keep it within track limits. Forza race regulations are not turned on here in FM4. They just ask the drivers race cleanly. And for setting the best time, you've got to keep it within Forza race regulations, limitations. Otherwise, you're going to dirty your lap and find yourself a little bit further back in the grid order. And that's what our drivers are doing here currently. They're trying to set their best time. We just came off of a standing start. Now here comes Celtic Warrior back up to the black and white painted checker there on the ground, and actually it's just a straight line. It's just a white line on the ground, and that starts the first flying lap here on lap number 2. Cratrim's going to come across there on his standing start with a 140.118. Then here comes Crimson with a 140.5. Let's go back there to Crimson. Let's go check his vehicle out in that Rich Energy Dodge SRT ACR. What's fall? Expecting 3 to 5 inches of snow tonight, says Dino Dad Shadow. Wow, incredible. Yeah, and you could say the same here in South Central Texas. What is fall? Because it was like 81 today, so it doesn't feel like fall. And my place of residence here in the last couple of years in locations where there really is no fall. It's like summer and then a meager winter and then back to summer again. And so not much in the way of snow to contend with for me. And here they go back up the hill, turn 6. I was talking about turn 4 being a complicated one, but perhaps turn 4 being undeniably the most tricky of them all. The corkscrew isn't even that bad. It's turn 6 where you're going uphill toward the Rahal Straight at a pretty good clip, and you want to hit it just right. And there's a little bit of an undulation in that corner. That takes you down and then brings the car back up, and it could spit you out into the kitty litter. So you got to be very careful here at Laguna Seca. Again, this is my favorite track, one that I like to do a lot of like baselining and testing of my cars. Not to say that I'm any good at racing. That's why I'm behind the microphone here. But I absolutely adore this circuit. Let's go to Audrex. Again, did not have a great run there at Rio for the finish of week number 2. Trying to turn things around here in week number 3. We'll see if he can do that. And actually, yeah, finished 13th there at Rio. He's got Myrtle H back behind him, one of our new names, the new gamer tags that we've seen out here. And you can see some of our drivers have dressed their cars up in their favorite liveries. Some of the drivers opting not to, but perhaps that's just because of limitation of time, maybe ahead of season 31. Once you know what that vehicle is, you give yourself a little bit more time to paint them up. Maybe grab something out of the storefront, whatever works for you. Get out here and make it look as good as possible. Make it look sporty, like it's an actual race event, and it very much is in the digital world here. As we go to Joe Beardy, who's got a Red Bull livery on his SRT4, and Mesosphere now with a 137.5 on that flying lap. That's going to put Mesosphere now on the pole position. What's the car used again? Sober David says it's that Dodge Neon SRT4 ACR 600 Performance Index. That's in the B class here in Forza Motorsport 7. If you're not familiar with what that is in Forza Motorsport, the Performance Index is the output of an algorithm. Oh, there goes Joe Beardy sliding out a little bit and perhaps getting out of the way for fear of the fun to have a little bit better vision as they come out of the corkscrew. And so Joe Beardy going to go ahead and take a knee on this final lap. But the Performance Index output is a measure of a car's overall performance, both in braking, handling, acceleration, top speed, cornering. So there's a lot of math behind the scenes that we don't know about. But B600, it's about midway on the spectrum in Forza Motorsport 7. Mesosphere looking to hold on to that pole position, 137.5. And as we pull back out after everybody's completed their qualifying here, we'll take a look at the qualifying results and get an eye for who is where on the track. And I said B600 Performance Index. That is 263 horsepower with these cars, 286 foot-pounds of torque, 2,600 pounds of curb weight. And we'll talk a little bit more about what upgrades and all these cars have as we wrap up qualifying and head out to the racetrack for race number 1 of tonight's action here at Laguna Seca. And there's Slipstream with a 138. Celtic Warrior managing a 139.9, just under that 140 mark. Cratrim at a 137.8. Crimson at a 137.7. Keep your eye on these two, Cratrim and Crimson. They've been battling it out all season and even before this season. These guys put up a pretty good fight with one another, and it's most certainly going to play out again here, especially looking at those times. Also close, and then Mesosphere at that 137.5, so he'll be on the pole spot with perhaps Crimson on the outside of him. 138 for Foontang. Born as Ghost at 139. Fear the Fawn unable to get himself a clean lap, so that's going to put Fear the Fawn all the way at the back of the pack. Joe Beardy there with a 140. 138 for Audrex. Myrtle with a 145. Skier Kid with a 141. Ronan 142. Slow with a 142. And T-Phrase. T-Phrase out there on the track with a 142.233. I take a look over at the driver's spotlight, and wouldn't you know it, we've got Mr. T-Phrase in there himself, the big-time tooth guy. Good to see you again, brother.
How are you, sir? Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you just fine. You sound as good as always. Not necessarily a qualifying time that I think well, we're not going to see you in the grid where we would normally see you. You're going to be here toward the back here in this Dodge Neon, but you're jumping in for the first time here in Season 30. So maybe just kind of getting yourself back in the game and enjoying a little bit of racing, or what's the deal?
Yeah, so I got a little time tonight. I got off work a little earlier, so I was like, you know what? Let me jump in there and just kick it around with him. I told Slow, I was like, listen, I know I'm not signed up. I know I don't have the box in, but you guys know who I am. And, yeah, so I'm going to try to avoid any contact with anybody at all costs, but I'm still going to have fun. Unless Fear's around, then he might get a bump or two, but we'll see.
Talking with T-Phrase, who picked up the affectionate pseudonym of big-time tooth guy. This coming off of an Oral-B livery back in season 28 or 27, I think it was. Here in the Dodge Neon, though, the SRT4 ACR, what do you think about the car?
Well, I absolutely hate front-wheel drive cars, which is one of the reasons why I elected to sit out for a little while.
Yeah.
And it's not against the season or the choice. It's just a matter of I had a lot going on, and then this kind of was like the icing on the cake. But I said, you know, we're racing Mazda. We're racing VIR. I hate both tracks. I'm not a fan of the car. Let's go for it and see what happens. So I'm excited to be back here. I'm excited to hear your voice again. Haven't heard it in a little while, so I just jumped back in. I might be here for both races. I might just be here for one. Kind of depends on, you know, how long it takes my frustration to really mount up, and then we'll go from there.
Talking with T-Phrase, does not like the front-wheel drive configuration, and that's what they've kept it at here in season number 30. Finds himself with a 142.2, so a little bit further back in the pack. It looks like we may have 15 at the least. Maybe another driver has snuck into the lobby. Where do you see yourself finishing here at the end of this race at Laguna Seca?
You know, I have no idea. There's a bunch of new guys in here, which is good to see. I mean, there's always the staples of the Mesa and the CT or Cratrium. You know, I'm sure Fear and, you know, Foon will be up there at some point. Slip will be up there a little bit. Mm-hmm. But I don't know some of these new guys, and I'm just going to race them like I regularly would. Like they're one of the guys I've been racing with for a couple seasons now, and stay clean. And you know, I haven't heard any complaints from anybody, so I'm just going to try to keep my nose clean, see what happens. I will say I ran a little bit faster time. This was my outlap time. I dirtied the other ones because it's Laguna Seca. Yeah. Why not? And you're in a front-wheel drive car that I've driven twice. So, yeah, we'll see. I might make a few passes. I might throw little whirly birds in there. You can't never tell, but for the most part, I'm just going to come out here and enjoy some conversation with the guys that I hadn't talked to in a little while.
Love it. T-Phrase, good chatting with you. Best of luck out here at Laguna.
Thank you. Thank you for coming back. We really appreciate it.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. Good to be back, and the little bit of a break did me good. I'm all energized and ready to go, and it looks like our drivers, speaking of ready to go, have all ticked the box apart from T-Phrase, who will do so quickly here after our interview, and then we'll get out here the track again. 2.24 miles, Laguna Seca. It's going to be a 19-lapper, 19 laps around the Grand Track, the track that, again, I adore so much. And so anytime I see this one on the schedule, brings a smile to my face. Folks, again, if you want to sign up or participate, like T-Phrase said, he kind of just jumped back into it because all these drivers are very much familiar with him. But if you want to participate, there's the URL down below in the lower third graphic. We don't have any fancy graphics for the season. Maybe they'll come back for season number 31, but it'll always be down there here for the race. Reddit.com/r/F RM4. Kick the tires and light the fires. Closing up the first half of Season 30 in the Forza Spec Racing Series out here. 19 laps around Laguna Seca. It's going to be Mesosphere in the pole position. Goes to the inside through the Andretti hairpin. There goes Crimson looking to the inside. Gets him a little bit on the back rear quarter panel. Able to keep it in check is Mesosphere, and Cratrium right there on the back heels. Or excuse me, Crimson. That's going to be Crimson in second. Slipstream in third. Footang in fourth. Born is Ghost in fifth. Audrex is sixth. Cratrium finding himself back there in seventh position. Mesosphere perhaps four wheels up off onto the curbing there coming through turn number 4. Joe Beardy in 8th. Celtic Warrior in 9th. Ronan in 10th. Fear the Fawn back in 11th position. Slow in 12th. Skier Kid in 13th. T-Phrase 14th. Myrtle in 15th. Back up the hill here underneath the VP Racing Fuels Bridge into that turn number 6, which I said is oh so tricky. Up the Ray Hall straight up to the corkscrew. Hop on board here with Crimson, who's looking to grab himself a good chunk of points. If he can keep Cratrium back there, and if all the other drivers can keep Cratrium back there, that'll give Crimson a little bit of leverage here on the leaderboard. As again, we're closing up the first half of Season 30. 9 races in total. We've done 4 up to this point. This is race number 5. There goes Crimson to the inside. Mesosphere gives him room, but Mesosphere, because of his approach there through turn number 11, able to keep a good amount of a momentum, and as a result now jumps up by a good 2 or 3 seconds there. Back to Crimson now with Slipstream closing in. Slipstream joining the FM crew here in week number 2, unable to participate in week 1, hoping to climb up a few more spots on the leaderboard. Currently sits either 6th or 7th. We'll have to double check that one. And now into turn 6 again, and there goes Mesosphere up on 2 wheels. Looks to be the same for Crimson. Back in 3rd is Slipstream. Footang is in 4th. Audrex is 5th. Let's go to 5th. Turn 5, back up the hill, and it looks like we have maybe 2 or 3 wide back there. Cratrium now up 1 spot to 6th. Born as Ghost in 7th. Celtic Warrior in 8th. Fear the Fawn now has moved up to 9th from 11th. Slow Motion Fire in 10th. Returning to the corkscrew is Audrex. Here they go. Keeping it tidy between the curving. Don't want to abuse the track limits too much. Down the hill, nice and smooth. There comes Cratrium there in 6th. Let's move back up to Slipstream in 3rd. We've seen just remarkable driving. I think the only exception here in Season 30 being in our final race of Week 2 out at Rio, which was just mayhem, as you might expect. Anytime you've been out there on the track, maybe on multiplayer, perhaps even in single player, even the drivatars have trouble at that track sometimes, finding themselves in the tire one. We saw plenty of that, donuts askew all over the track. Not going to be the case here at Laguna Seca. Back down the hill for the start of lap number 3. Here comes Slipstream through Andretti hairpin. There comes Footang into the Nvidia car. Slipstream with the left Twix, and I think it's Born as Ghost who is right Twix. Love the creativity here as they go back underneath that Continental Tire Bridge. There's Crimson back behind Mesosphere, reeling him in a little bit again after losing sight of him there on the end of lap number 1 at turn 11. Now under that Mother's Bridge. It's several bridges here at Laguna Seca as they head back uphill once again at Monterey, California, USA. Now it's the VP Racing Fuels into turn 6. Keep it clean. 263 horsepower, 286 foot-pounds of torque, 2,600 dead even. Curb weight. Here comes Slipstream heading up. They've got race exhaust, street engine block and displacement, sport pistons and compression, race brakes, race springs and dampers, both front and rear race sway bars, race chassis reinforcement, roll cage, race weight reduction, race clutch, race differential. Sport tire compounds are wrapped around 18-inch work design DHs. Those tires are 255, 30, 18s all the way around. And then it's the VIS Racing front and rear bumper and side skirts with a Wings West wing. No aspiration conversion, no change from the 2.4 liter inline 4. No conversion there in the drivetrain either. It remains front-wheel drive as it did coming off the showroom floor. And here's Crimson now closing in on Mesosphere. Mesosphere looking to go 5 for 5 here through the first half of season 30. Clips a little bit of the curbing and some of the dirt, kicks up a little bit of dust. And now Crimson into turn 6. Going to try to make a run at Meza here. Well, coming out of 5, now up to turn 6. Dano Dad Shadow there in the chat saying front-wheel drive is best. It's going to be between Crimson and Meza, but I give the advantage to Meza just because he's always there when it counts. Meza, super consistent, super consistent. Perhaps the only race here in season 30 thus far where it has been the slightest bit close was out there at Monza. Meza able to take the checkered first, making a pass there I think in the last 2 or 3 laps if I remember correctly. And now here comes Crimson into that final left-hander, and plenty of tire smoke. That 263 horsepower going through those front wheels. You mash that accelerator, that's what's going to happen as we go through the field here. Crimson second, Slipstream still in third. He's got Futang still behind him. Audrex in 5th, Craytrim in 6th. Let's go to Craytrim trying to make his way around Audrex. He's got the white sponsored livery there, performance by design, and taking a nice little copy and paste from the Rich Energy logo, and of course Rich Energy taking that from, well, I don't think they've outright admitted it, but taking that from what I think a bike company, right? That logo, and there goes Craytrim right on the backside of Audrex. Audrex again trying to turn things around after a 13th place finish there at the end of week number 2. That week 2 being his drop week so far. So he's going to be looking for good point results here on out, starting here in week number 3 at Laguna. Then we've got VIR South Circuit coming up, race number 2 here tonight underneath the Pepsi signage. Look at this, Craytrim. He's going to peek to the inside, but then fall back. Go single file back down the corkscrew. Not going to try to take a shot at passing there, and that would be well advised. Now through Rainy Curve, turn 9. I love this swooping left-hand downhill turn right there. Sets you up nicely for turn 10. And let's see what Craytrim maybe has up his sleeve here at 11. Maybe a little switchback. He tried it, but Audrex able to outperform. Stay in front. Now into turn 2 after that little bit of a kink on the uphill, and Audrex runs wide. He tries to bring it back towards the apex, but Craytrim says, nah, I've got this. And now up to 5th place goes Craytrim as he tries to catch up and maybe vie for a top 3 finish. What a move there. Well done by Craytrim. Clip it. Let's move up to Futang in 4th. As you get a look there at the Virtual Autosports instant replay. And Craytrim able to close the line there on the apex. Coming through turn 2, that hairpin. Not giving Audrex a chance to bring it back in. And that propelled Craytrim up to 5th. Here comes Futang making a run at Slipstream for 3rd. Ooh, and perhaps a little bit slow coming up out of 8 to 8A. Now through Rainy at 9. And we got a great battle there with Crimson making a run at Meza. Let's go to it. Here they come up to turn 11. Down the straightaway. past the flag stand for the beginning of lap number 7. And look at that, Crimson just using that slipstream as much as he possibly can. Back down the hill they go. They're going to run side by side, wheel to wheel, and Crimson right there on the passenger side rear quarter panel, rubbing his racing. That's a clean move. No reason to be concerned with that. Just reminding Mesosphere where he is. And as consistent as Mesosphere has been, Meza has allowed from time to time the likes of Crimson and Cratrium to sneak back up, and that's exactly what we're seeing here. Lap 7 of 19, and Crimson through the inside at turn 6. He's going to have maybe the advantage on the inside of, through turn 5, now up to 6. And Crimson, they get a little bit squirrely. Fortunately for Meza, he was able to recover. I think Crimson's going to be a little bit slow coming up Ray Hall straight. Now to the corkscrew. They're still side by side. Crimson's going to be to the inside through 8. Meza on the inside through 8A. And Meza, for now, will hold on to the top spot. Woo! This is not likely to end anytime soon. And the longer these two fight it out, the more time they're going to give Foodtang and Slipstream, 4th and 3rd respectively. And it looks like Slipstream may be wide coming out of turn 10. We'll take a look at it here shortly. What great racing. What do you guys think? Let me know there in the chat. Would love to get your thoughts. Who's going to come away with the win? It's Mesosphere, who's looking to go victory times 5 here in Season 30 through the first half. We'll conclude the first half after this race and then roll right in to half number 2. The second half out at VIR South Circuit. Crimson looking strong coming there through turn 3. Mesosphere, it was a cakewalk for him out there at Rio. He even told us at one point that it was just a mind over matter type thing where he had to keep his focus knowing that he had nobody really contesting him for the position. Now, all that has changed. YZF Nova saying Crimson's got this. He's calling it. Nova's calling the shot. That Crimson's going to be able to come away with the pass and the win. We'll see. A lot of racing left. Now here it is. Mesosphere on the inside through 8 and through 8A. It looked like maybe Crimson was going to try to grab the inside line and have those two swap positions between laps 7 and 8. No can do as Mesosphere closes the door. Nova, thank you very much for that follow. Great to see you. Great having you here on a Tuesday night, the Forza Spec Racing Series, season number 30, week number 2, race number 1 for tonight, race number 5 overall on the season. I'm Dustin Moore, broadcasting to you here on Virtual Auto Sports. And again, if you are enjoying the racing content, let me know, and you can do that by simply clicking that follow button. It would be greatly appreciated. Of course, if you'd like to say hi, you can do that there in the chat. Just shoot me a quick little hello, and again, maybe give us your thoughts on the racing action here tonight. Here comes Crimson, going to try to make something happen, or perhaps just stay right there, safe and sound on the back bumper of Mesosphere. Keep putting the pressure on, and maybe have Mesosphere make a mistake. And then that's the best way to get around somebody. Uncontested, they make a mistake, they go off into the dirt, and you just scoot right around. Slipstream still there in 3rd, Foodtang in 4th. Cratrim closing in after having made that pass on Drex a little bit ago. Let's go back to Cratrim, and we're going to get a view from his hood here as he looks up at Foodtang and Slipstream. And by look up, I don't mean that in any sort of derogatory way. He is looking uphill here on the Ray Hall Straight at Foodtang and Slipstream, 2 positions within reach. Down the corkscrew, you'll get a look at that several dozens, if not 100-foot drop or so. It doesn't look as dramatic as it does in the real world racing. It seems like the visuals Oh, and there goes Futeng into the tire barrier. He clips it through turn 10. That's going to allow Kraytrim to move up yet another position. And all of a sudden here, halfway through race number 5 of season 30, Kraytrim sees himself going for a top 3 finish. Both he and Crimson were able to replicate that or go back-to-back with top 3 finishes. They're in race number 2 of week 2 and race 1 of week 2. And now let's see if he's going to be able to recover after having fallen back as far as 7th position early on in this race. A dreadful, or just one of those mistakes that you dread making there for Futeng, clipping the tire wall. Fortunately, was able to recover quite nicely and apparently had no vehicle damage as he remains out on the track. Let's go to Crimson here in second. Skier Kid is going to hear about this at work tomorrow, says Bessie. And we'll try to get some of our newer gamer tags on camera here. Although we got plenty of action happening out in front. Audrex and Fear the Fun finds himself in 7th position in that Taco Bell liveried Dodge SRT4 ACR. Going to try to make his way up through the grid, and can't remember if I grabbed a look there at Futeng's mistake. We'll see. And unfortunately, I didn't. So, for Futeng, fortunately. Whichever side of the coin you're on. And here comes Fear the Fun now down the corkscrew. Chasing down Audrex. In first, it's still Mesosphere with Crimson back behind him in second. Slipstream in third. Kraytrim in fourth. Futeng closing back in 5th. Let's return to Futeng's view. Just an exceptional recovery by Futeng. I don't know if I could stress that enough. Hit that tire barrier. The car just kind of pivoted, allowing him to bring it back, bring the nose back in the right direction and close the gap here with Kraytrim. And so Futeng not out of the question to grab himself a top 3 finish. The first time that would happen for him here in season 30 if he can make it happen. THD Reckless a little bit earlier said, I think I saw Kraytrim and Crimson driving in Tora over the weekend, and Cry was in the MCN yesterday night. Yeah, a lot of these drivers, especially those who you may recognize, the gamer tags show up a time or two across various league events. These guys, they put in their time and keep their skill level high so that maybe they will then find themselves running in the Forza Racing Championship one day. And don't put it past them. Some of these guys have very much been involved in the qualifying rounds and some of the semifinal rounds. And maybe after this Forza Racing Championship has concluded, which is a team-based event, maybe we'll see things come back around to an individual-based format where some of these drivers, whether they have a professional backing or not, can get back into the mix. We'd love to see these guys and their gamer tags show up on that FRC leaderboard once again. FRC round number I don't know what, coming up here this Saturday at 10 a.m. Pacific time. Let's go back up to Crimson, who's trying to make a run at Mesosphere again, coming out of the Andretti hairpin. It's lap number 12 of 19, that final lap, that 20th lap that you see up there in the top left. That'll be a cool down lap, so they got to make it happen here in the next 8. Mesosphere so dang close that it looks like he's clipping through Mesosphere's car, and there we got the black screen of death, which usually signifies a driver falling out. And I'll take a look at the ticker across the top to see who that might have been. It's going to be Ronan, showing up for the first time here in FM4. Unfortunately, going to pick up only 3 points in this one. Here comes Crimson on the backside there of Mesosphere. Off the Ray Hall straight, a little bit of scrapes, bumps, and bruises on the front of Crimson's car as he continues to use and abuse the back bumper of Mesosphere. They come down the corkscrew into Rainy Curve. Turn 9 up to turn 10. This is where we saw Futeng run afoul a little bit ago. And we'll jump back to those 3 here shortly. I believe it's Kraytrim. Kraytrim has moved up to 3rd. Slipstream is now sandwiched between Kraytrim and Futeng. Let's go to Slipstream. That's Leftwix, hashtag Leftwix, finding himself between the white liveried car and the predictably magenta-colored NVIDIA car of Fute. Back across the line. A little bit of spacing there, so let's return to Crimson, who, what else is new, is checking out real estate there on the back of Mez's car. And here they come into turn 5, back up the hill. Remarkable composure on both drivers' part, particularly on Crimson, who has to be very, very careful. One early braking point there by Mesosphere, or one little simple mistake, which we just kind of saw there coming out of turn 6. Mesosphere found himself up into the dirt again. That slowed him down just enough to allow Crimson now come to the outside through turn 8, onto the inside through 8A, and Crimson is let me not speak too soon, coming through Rainy Curve. Mesosphere to the inside, and Mez is going to reclaim it, so Crimson in the top spot only momentarily. Now through turn 10, they're side by side. Crimson with his nose out in front. He's going to be the outside line here through turn 11. That's going to give Mesosphere the advantage up onto the apex. And now side by side up the hill and toward the flag stand into turn number 1. The little kink here at the top of the hill. What's going to happen here through Andretti Hairpin, where we've seen so much contesting, so much battling, duking it out, lefts and rights. And there they go, a few more scrapes onto the driver's rear door panel. And Crimson's going to fall back behind Mesosphere here on lap 14. Whew. Can we keep this excitement level all the way up through race number 2 of tonight out there at VIR in the South Circuit? I sure hope so. This is adrenaline. This is adrenaline-driven stuff right here. This is exciting. And, of course, we've got a lot of battles happening back behind, but we do want to keep our eye here on the fight for the race lead. And these guys, they put Slipstream and Craytrim and Funtang in their rearview mirrors by quite a ways as they go through the corkscrew. 3rd, 4th, and 5th just now coming up Ray Hall Straight. And toward the corkscrew themselves as Meza and Crimson now enter turn 9, and they continue to fight it out. Oh my gosh, Crimson now back out in front as he goes to the outside line. Meza to the inside through turn 10. Sebesi, or S. Bessie, saying these guys are battling it out for the lead. It's no joke. It is no joke. This is pro-level competition here. You see the racing action that happens on Saturdays with the Forza Racing Championship. No question, these two drivers could be in that position. Mesosphere, part of the Solar Vision Racing team, and Crimson, who I think is maybe a privateer at this point. Through 5 to 6. Let me run through the pack for you. It's Meza, Crimson, Craytrim, who's crept his way up from 7th to 3rd now in a top 3. Slipstream falling back to 4th. Boontang in 5th. Fear the Fun in 6th. Audrex in 7th. Celtic Warrior in 8th. Bordas Ghost in 9th. Slow Motion Fire in 10th. Joe Beardy battling for a top 10 position there with Slow Motion Fire. He's in 11th. Skier Kid, they're in 12th. T-Phrase in 13th. Myrtle in 14th, and unfortunately we lost Ronan a little bit earlier on. He'll pick up 3 points in 15th position with the DNF. Here they go into that final right-hander before you come up to the final left-hander here at Laguna Seca's 2.24 mile circuit. An historic track. I love this circuit. So much great racing happens out here. And across the line, here they come for the beginning of lap number 16. They'll have 4 laps starting now. Well, for Meza to either hold on to first or for Crimson to snatch it and take home 50 points here in this first race. Second place will get 47. Third place gets 45. Then it drops down to 43 for fourth, 40 for fifth. Sixth gets 36, 34 points for seventh, 32 for eighth. And look at that. That's how close they are. Crimson going right on through. That's just the camera clipping through. The cars obviously are not overlapping at all, and we can guarantee that there with a little bit of contact now coming through turn 5 again. And Crimson, he's not saving up for the final 2 laps. No, he's trying to make it happen here on lap 16 if he can. And Mesosphere's going to run wide with about 3 tires, or at least 3 tires, off into the dirt once again. That's either the second or third time we've seen Meza do that. Able to recover it nicely. And look at this. He's going to go to the inside. Then he closes the door through 8A. That's what you got to do. You don't want to leave it open there. Crimson did that a little bit earlier on. Gave Meza the outside line and then the inside through 8A. And that's what allowed Meza to regain a top spot earlier coming through the corkscrew. And so Crimson's going to have to try to find a place to pass a little bit later on, or, well, he doesn't have much time. And I can't help but to jump real quick back to Cratrim, who's here in third position and is able to reel in by about 700 feet. Second place, and because they're so close, just call it first and second. So will Cratrim be able to make a run for second or first here in these last couple of laps? Don't rule it out. Do not rule it out. I was going to say Crimson got the faster lap. If he can get ahead, maybe he can hold on to it, says Nova. Yeah, and certainly Mesosphere had the best lap during qualifying, but if Crimson's got the top time currently here in competition, then if he can get out in front and keep out there by a couple of tenths of a second, then that would obviously bode well for him as they come back up the hill here on lap 17, about 2.5 laps remaining. Oh my. I love to give coverage to the rest of the field, but when the battle for first is this darn close, I can't do that to you guys. I can't do it. Got to keep the camera here, and here comes Crimson now. On the outside, and Mesosphere, he's going to try to block the inside through 8A, and he does. Crimson was going to go for it, but Mesosphere knows what's happening there. He can't be outsmarted coming down the corkscrew. Meza knows what the approach is. Apex through 8. Apex through 8A, close the door on both accounts, and keep Crimson in the rearview mirror. And so Crimson, he's going to have to find himself another spot to make that pass. Can he do it through turn 6, where Meza has struggled somewhat? And if Meza makes a mistake there, he won't be just giving up second. He will likely, or not just giving up first, he will likely fall back to third with Cratrim just like a ball-hocking cornerback back behind them, keeping his eye and closing the gap. Here comes Meza, and look at that. If you look on the map here in front of Meza and Crimson, they've got lap traffic up ahead of them here in the next 2 laps, and that will definitely come into play. Hopefully our lap traffic car can just find him or herself out of the way and allow these two to get by 3, 4, and 5, all of our top cars to get by unimpeded. And here we go into turn 5. Up to 6, where Meza has struggled slightly. And that's all it takes, is just the slightest mistake to give it away. And nice and tidy there. He's going to have to do it one more time. Sean says Crimson will definitely pull a gap if he gets past Meza. Meza's very good at defending, though, and here they go. More scraping, rubbing is racing. Everything through this battle has been clean. Nothing worth throwing the black flag for. Not even close. And look at that Crimson coming out of Rainy Curve. He's just watching. He's watching. He's in a top 3 position right now. A really good finishing spot. But if he can get past 2 drivers at once, make a double pass, oh, that'll be something special. Back up toward the start-finish line. The white flag flies here for our first race of the night. closing out the first half of Season 30, the Forza Spec Racing Series. It's Meza, it's Crimson, it's Cratrium, respectively, here in the top three. Through the Andretti hairpin, turn 2, Crimson back on the back bumper, coming up to turn 3, the right-hander. Then it's the Continental Tire Bridge, up to turn 4. Look out, Myrtle, here they come. Cratrium is there. He's there. He's back by about a second or two. The gap much, much tinier here between first and second. And here they go. Crimson's going to look to the inside, hoping that maybe Meza makes a mistake. He does it. He keeps it tidy. As a matter of fact, I think Meza came off the pace a little bit just to hug that middle line and keep Crimson from being able to get past. Now here they come to the corkscrew. Look out, Myrtle. Here they come, and yes, Myrtle wisely goes into the dirt, allowing first and second and even Cratrium there in third to come through. Through Rainy Curve at 9, up to turn 10. If Crimson's going to make a move, he has to do it now. Meza able to hold him off up to the final turn, turn 11. Will he be able to hold on to it? Crimson looks to bring a lot of momentum and just not going to be able to make it happen. It's Meza, Crimson, Cratrium, 1, 2, and 3. Let's go back to fourth with Slipstream. He's got back behind him Fear the Fun in fifth. Well done, Fear the Fun. Fourth is Slipstream. Fear the Fun in fifth. Bootang in sixth. Looking back there is Audrex in seventh position in the AMD Risen car. He goes across the line. In eighth, it's Celtic Warrior. Let's go to Born as Ghost, who's got himself a top 9 finish. If he can come across the line cleanly, he does. He's Twix right, and right he is. Top 10 finish. Ninth. Make it ninth there for Born as Ghost. 10th goes to Joe Beardy, who also grabs himself a top 10, able to get around Soul Motion Fire, who will finish in 11th. Look a little bit further back. It's 12 and 13. It's T-Phrase and Skier Kid. Skier Kid now through turn 11. Can he make a pass? No such luck. It's going to be T-Phrase. They're in 12th. Skier Kid in 13th. Myrtle in 14th. Oh, my. Ladies and gentlemen, that was the way you conclude the first half of a season here in the Forza Spec Racing Series. Folks, I don't want any of our new viewers to pick up any pre-rolled ads. That's why we're going to go ahead and roll 60 seconds of it. We'll come back with some driver spotlight interviews and a look at the final standings here in this race. Oh, that was exciting, exciting stuff. We'll be right back. And welcome back, folks. We have concluded the first race of tonight's action out here at Laguna Seca, getting ready for race number 2 out at Virginia International Raceway. And as I look over at the queue for interview, I see we've got a couple of drivers over there to include our winner here in race number 5 of season 30, Mesosphere, going back to back to back to back to back here in the first half. It was very, very close there, Meza. You had to fend off Crimson like no other race that I've seen before here in FM4.
That was a lot of fun. I got to first, though, apologize to Murdo, as I earned my little name there from Crimson of Murdersphere by missing my break point on the last lap by about 2 feet. which was just enough because he was obviously going slower than us. That gap closed very rapidly, and I did just bump into the side of it. Not hard. I don't think any one of us got damaged, but I did bump into him and did knock him off the road. It wasn't an absolute murder, but it definitely would have left a bruise. We'll leave it like that. So I want to apologise to him. But otherwise, that was a fantastic race with Crimson. I think at one point we spent nearly 1 or 2 laps side by side. That was intense. My hands are still shaking. It was a great race.
Yeah, no chance to take a breather and relax. The grip on the controller had to be on it all the way through. It looked like we caught you a couple times there on camera, having a little bit of issues coming out of turn 6, heading up the Rahal Straight. Found yourself maybe 2 or 3 wheels off into the dirt. Was that maybe one of the trickier corners for you there in that race?
If you're talking about that little kink going up that hill, that thing's a pain.
It is.
Fine. Mostly because you want to be on throttle as quickly as possible. And as soon as you jump on the throttle, the thing goes straight. And obviously it doesn't work well when you're halfway around a corner. So, yeah, that one was tricky. We're trying to gauge just how much to put on because you want as much as possible as early as possible. To be fair, Crimson made the same mistake a few times. In fact, that's why I, at one point early on in the race, had about a second-ish gap. He'd made just that mistake, I think. And dropped back a little bit. And so, yeah, first couple of laps, a bit of breathing room. Then I messed up a corner, and then he was right on my tail for the whole... I think it was about the next 15 laps. I got no breathing room whatsoever. It was fantastic fun. I just wish Cratrum was up there. I don't know what happened to him at the start. I didn't see that. But I just wish he was up there because having him battle with Crimson as well, I think would have either made it even more interesting or would have the split decision then between attack and defense. That may have given me some breathing room to actually just kind of try and drive nicely.
Yeah, but, very true. We didn't see what happened to Cratrum there at the beginning of the race from our vantage point either. So tell me, you're heading up Rahal Straight, trying to keep it nice and tidy there out of turn 6, that little kink heading uphill, and then out in front of you see an unliveried Dodge SRT4 of Myrtle, and he wisely pulled off into the dirt there in the entry.
No, he didn't pull off, as I said at the start. He didn't pull off.
Oh, gotcha. Didn't pull off. You maybe
going up into corkscrew. So I missed my braking point, and by maybe a couple of feet, if that.
Yeah.
Because I was looking mostly to see whether I got clearance from Crimson, because he'd got a great run off of that kink. And so I was paying attention to him, glancing up ahead, flicking backwards and forwards in the view, seeing if I got room. Then I missed my point by about 2 feet, and he was braking earlier as well than I would, so we were steaming in behind him. And so Myrtle didn't pull to one side. As I said, I apologized to him. He got a bit of an assistance from myself. Yeah. Nothing deliberate, and it wasn't even that hard. It's just that he braked earlier than we were. And like I said, I had missed my point. I probably would have been very wide in the first part, and thus probably to avoid Crimson would have cut to the inside of the second part of the corkscrew. But either way, it would not have looked elegant, regardless. But yeah, I'm told that the camera cut just the right or wrong time, so it made it look like he pulled out of the way. No, he did not. He was assisted in his pulling out of the way. And like I say, I want to most profusely apologize. Yeah. That's not how I deal with back markers. It's just, like I said, he broke early. I broke a bit too late anyway. And I wasn't entirely looking at him. I was also making sure I got clearance from Crimson, who was on the left-hand side towards the rear. Because if you don't have clearance, I'm getting pitted. As soon as I go to brake for the apex or anything like that, I'm getting spun round if I don't have clearance. Forza physics doesn't help there. That rear quarter panel. It does. I could start turning right and he could start turning left. Forza physics is just going to lock me to his car and pull me around to the left. So yeah, that wasn't going to help anyone. So yeah, I was looking at him a lot, glancing forward, glancing back, glancing forward, glancing back, and to be honest, I'd been doing it for most of the race. So I kind of got used to looking backwards on the run up to corkscrew. But yeah, that was not how I wanted to get past Myrtle. So I want to apologize again.
Yeah, good sportsmanship there. Obviously saying, hey, it was a racing incident. Wasn't keeping my my eye out on the front as much as maybe I should have, and then lost the breaking point. But nonetheless, Mesosphere coming away with the win there in the 5th race here of Season 30. That's all 5 races in the first half of the season, trying to roll into race number 6. But you got a tricky one here at Virginia International Raceway, the South Course. Meza, congratulations. We'll see you there in qualifying for race 6.
Thank you very much. I'll see you.
All right, and now let's go ahead over to the not the Scandinavian flick, but the Croatian flick. The man himself, Fear the Fun, finishing in 5th, if I took my notes correctly, which is a spectacular finish for you, especially since taking note there at the beginning of today's action saying, hey, that you had the most impressive performance back-to-back in week number 2, apart from those drivers who finished in the top 3. Coming away with 2 6th-place finishes. Now you get up into the top 5. How does that feel?
It feels good. I don't want to apologize because I'm not sorry, but I put the bumper to Audrex. He didn't deserve it, but my patience got the better of me, and he had blocked me for like 3 laps, and I wasn't having it no more.
Talking with Fear the Fun out here again, finishing in 5th. Out there behind Slipstream, who was kind of hanging around the top 5 position himself. You had to make your way up through the pack, it seemed there. I think I saw you as far as back as maybe 7th, if I'm remembering correctly. So
I started at the back of the pack.
That's right.
Place.
Thanks for reminding me. You were the one driver with a dirty lap there during qualifying, so you had to go from 16th to 5th.
Yes.
Incredible. Well, I'm not going to ask you who maybe gave you the hardest time out there because you just mentioned Audrex. What are you anticipating here at VIR, the South Course?
I know the fast lap is anything in a 1:13.1. Last week, me, CT, and Slipstream were practicing, and I got down to a 1:12.9, and so did TT. What I saw in practice today is nobody could get under 1:13, so I'm hoping I do okay. Maybe throw a wrench into Mesosphere's running away with it sweep.
Perhaps. That would be awesome. We would love to see maybe somebody change things up here, starting with race number 6 as we head into the latter half of Season 30. I mentioned VIR, the South Course. But it's not just the South Course. It's the South Course in the dark. So what's it going to take to keep the car on track, apart from the obvious answer of, hey, yeah, I just got to drive nice? How do you keep your composure and maybe a little bit of patience here as you go 24 laps around in the dark?
Well, I don't know if you knew, but a while back, my team name used to be Half Mind Racing. That wasn't a play. I'm visually impaired in both eyes. So, and I have terrible night vision. So my plan is not to wreck anybody and be a little bit more cautious just because I have trouble seeing in the dark.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I'll do okay. I won't try to wreck anybody, not as intentionally as I did Audrex. I took him out. That was on me. But I don't know. I feel good about VIR. But last time I said I felt good about a track, it was in the Alphas on sorry, I'm drawing a blank.
That's okay.
It was the Alphas, not Bernie's, Prague.
Prague, okay.
And lap 1, I hit the tire barrier and took out all of the field.
Yeah, that was a crazy night. I recall that one. I know that probably doesn't make you feel any better about it, but I recall that.
Everybody recalls that. It's a meme in the not the subreddit, in the Discord.
Yeah. All right, Fear the Fun. Well, I won't hold you guys up anymore because it looks like everybody's ready to go. Best of luck during qualifying, and we'll see what happens here at race number 6 of Season 30.
Yes, sir. Have a good day.
All right, there you go, folks. So talking to some of our drivers here in the driver's spotlight as we get ready for a race. I don't even want to say under the lights because it won't be under the lights. It is purely in pitch black dark. We'll do our best to provide commentary, although I think we'll be okay. I think we could see just fine here with the headlamps. Now, of course, if some of those headlamps go out, it might make it a little bit trickier, but fortunately we've got those banners up ahead above the cars so that we can keep track of who is who. and what they're doing out there on the circuit as they get around here for, again, it's going to be 24 laps. Virginia International Raceway, the South Course, which is a 1.6-mile track, and of all the tracks they could have picked here at VIR, I would think that this is probably the one that I would be most comfortable with. It doesn't include a lot of the very complex sections that you would see in the midfield area of VIR, so that should help things, I would think, a little bit. But of course, with the extra element of being in the dark thrown in here, I could be completely off, and it might just be a barn burner, a wreck fest, maybe would be a more appropriate word, as we see Autrex going through the hairpin here on the north side of the course. That's going to be turn number 1, and yes, it is darkness to the max. So I will do my absolute best, and I definitely applaud these guys for the challenge, challenging themselves to. There's no rain in this season here in season 30, but to give themselves a run in the dark is one of those kind of switch it up type experiences here. You've run in the day so many times here in season 30, and then to have one night race flips the script. Of course, there will be another night race as we head out to the Daytona Sport Car Circuit in week number 4. That's going to be next Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, and then follow that up in week 5 with the Yas Marina North Circuit finale. That also is in the dark, but both of those tracks very well lit, so we'll have no issues with vision out there. Audrex crossing the line with a 120, and now Crimson coming through with a 117. Quickly snagging the pole position here in qualifying on the standing start. The rollout lap. Mesosphere now hops forward with a 116.3. Let's go to Mez's car. You see the brake discs glowing there on the front of Mez's SRT ACR. That's the American Club Racer edition here of this 2005 Dodge Neon. 2.4-liter inline-4 engine, pumps out 263 horsepower, 286 foot-pounds of torque to the front wheels. Yes, they've kept the drivetrain in front-wheel drive configuration, they have not reverted it or put it into rear-wheel drive or all-wheel drive mode. It stays in front-wheel drive with 2,600 pounds on those 4 tires. Race exhaust, street engine block and displacement, sport pistons and compression, race brakes, race springs and dampers, both the front and rear sway bar of the race variety, race chassis reinforcement and roll cage, race weight reduction, race clutch, race differential. Sport tire compounds are wrapped around 18-inch work design DHs with a size of 255/30, both on the front and the rears. Front and rear bumper come courtesy of VIS Racing to include those side skirts, and a street rear wing by Wings West. And again, there is no alteration to the drivetrain, the aspiration, or the engine here in season number 30. Of course, things change up quite a bit here in the Forza Spec Racing Series League, namely the car. And after we have a champion here in season 30, whether that be Mesosphere or any of the other drivers who've joined us here in season 30, that champion with the most points, excluding that lowest point week, the race or the week that they have the lowest amount of points, we drop that, we tally up the top 4 weeks worth of points for each driver, and whoever has the most, well, they get the bragging rights and they pick the car for season 31. What's up there? I saw, pardon me, it took me so long to get to it, but Division Hunter with the hello. Thank you, Division Hunter. Good to see you again. Yes, I am alive. No, I didn't die. I'm most certainly alive. I took a little bit of a break there through the latter half of August, all throughout September, and I'm only partially broadcasting here. Had to come back to my friends here in FM4, the Forza Spec Racing Series. I love these broadcasts. It helps me get through my Tuesday night, as Tuesdays are it's the day that I just really like the least. And so to be able to look forward to this at the end of the day, roll into hump day, it's a blast. And man, did we have ourselves a race there at Laguna Seca. If you did not catch the racing action, we'll have a rerun of that, of tonight's broadcast here immediately following tonight's airing, the live airing. And then, of course, you can watch all of the races of the Forza Spec Racing Series here in Season 30 on demand there at twitch.tv/virtual autosports. And then head on over to reddit.com/r/FM4. You see the URL down below. Get all the details here on the series, the league, and then we hope to see you out here on the track, perhaps in week number 4, or at the very least in Season 30. All right, let's take a look here. We've got Audrex with a 1:15.9. That is not going to do well or bode well against Mesosphere's 1:13.3. That'll put him on pole opposite there of Crimson with a 1:13.5. Born as Ghost at a 1:15.8. Slow Motion Fire, unfortunately, will find himself at the caboose position of the grid, the very back side. They're unable to yield a clean lap. He was able to put together a 1:16.5, but that's a dirty lap. 1:14.0 for Cratrium. Mesosphere, as I mentioned, a 1:13.346. Joe Beardy with a 1:15.5. Fear the Fawn at a 1:14. Celtic at a 1:15.4. Footang with a 1:14.7. That'll put Footang, I believe, in the second row. Myrtle with a 1:17.1. Slipstream at a 1:18. Skier Kid at a 1:22. And T-Phrase at a 1:15.6. It looks like we may have Ronan, and I'm trying to see what other driver we may have lost as we're down to 14 now here for race number 2. All the drivers back into the lobby, getting readied up for this one. 19, check that, 24 laps here at VIR in the dark. THD Reckless says slow motion got screwed there with a dirty lap. Well, he'll make the most of it. He'll make it happen. Could be another close one, says Sean. Oh, it most certainly will be. I think the wild card here is obviously the elements, the darkness, and then this track VIR. It's one of the it's a fairly new. I believe it appeared for the first time here in Forza Motorsport 7, if I'm not mistaken. And it's one of those tracks where people were kind of excited to see it because obviously it's history of Formula One, I believe, is maybe raced out there. If not, then at least IndyCar. Maybe I'm mistaken on the Formula One bit, and it's just IndyCar. And so this track has been synonymous with pretty relevant motorsport racing action, but it's not until you get out there that you really understand the complexity. And THD Reckless clarifying or fixing there for me that, yeah, it is IndyCar, not F1. And I didn't think so. I was trying to think. I'm like, man, I don't think IndyCar or Formula One would have made this a stop on their Grand Prix circuit. And so it most certainly is IndyCar who shows up here at VIR and appeared in Forza Motorsport 6. Thank you, Reckless. I used to have these things like really down pat in my brain, but obviously as I've gotten older with time and things have become a priority, I've lost track of some of these Forza bits of wisdom, I guess, or trivia type things. And so Forza Motorsport 6 is when VIR first made its appearance. I don't know much about these races. I'm a drifter, but I know I love watching them, Nova. Hey, man, I appreciate it, and I love the engagement that you're providing here in the chat. And all of our drivers or spectators, if you're watching us here tonight, please give a follow and then let me know there in the chat that you're here. Here we go. Kick the tires, light the fires. Looks like Fear the Fun a little bit slow to get off the line there in the Taco Bell America Online car. And it's going to be Meza there on that pole position off the line. He's going to have Crimson opposite of them there in second. It's Cratrium in third, Footang in fourth, and yes, it is dark. It is dark out here at VIR. Celtic Warrior in fifth, Joe Beardy in sixth, T-Phrase in seventh, Born as Ghost in eighth, Audrex in ninth, and Myrtle rounds out the top 10 as they come out of turn number one, that hairpin. Now down the straightaway to turn two, which is a little bit of a kink, and actually perhaps my track map is not correct here. No, it is correct. They're coming through turn 5 now. Sorry, I just, in the dark, I lost track of my surroundings, where we were. It's going to be Mesosphere. He's got a good, I don't know, half second, quarter of a second lead there over Crimson, Kratrum, and Funtang. A trail of cars now, which may be the wise decision here in this race. Just get into single file, wait for your competitor to make a mistake, and then scoot on past. Funtang in fourth. Joe Beardy finds himself in fifth. Joe Beardy, I mentioned, and Celtic, two drivers you want to be looking out for. Those two finished in the top 10 there in race number 1 here in season 30. They were able to come away with 2 top 10 finishes, or between the two of them, they had 3 top 10 finishes there in week number 2. And so those guys looking to make a name for themselves here in the Forza Spec Racing Series. Mesosphere currently has a nice bit of breathing room, much different from how things were out there at Mazda Raceway Laguna Seca. But that's likely to change because those drivers back behind them are keeping a good pace going. Crimson and Kratrum. Let's go to Kratrum, who's there in third, and then let's hop on board. We'll use these headlamps to our advantage and give us a little bit of light to see what's going on out here on the track as they head up the hill and then back down the hill. T6 there, that little kink. Actually, that's T7 there, as they head up to not really a true hairpin here. It's got 2 corners to it, a little bit of a straight there, 8 and 9, and back up toward the start-finish line for the beginning of lap 3. You do see there a pit entry, so simulation damage left on. In those races where there is not a pit lane, they'll take the sim damage off, but here in FM4, where they have pits, they have sim damage. So keep that in mind if you're looking to participate with these guys. All they ask is that you race cleanly, keeping in mind or knowing the fact that you get your car in pretty bad shape, necessitating a stop. And if you stop here on these races, well, that's not going to work out nicely for you, because you should be able to go through each of these races without turning it in for fuel and tires. Kratrum just kind of hanging back there. Let's go to Funtang in fourth. And then between Funtang and 5th place of Slipstream, a pretty good break in the action. So it's 1 through 4 and then 5 through everybody else. What happened to Drex, says Reckless? Good question. Drex appears to have fallen back to 10th position. We'll go check on them here shortly if we kind of have a break in the action 1 through 4. And that looks like that might be the case. So let's go ahead and hop back a little bit. Let's give our mid-pack competitors a shot on camera. Celtic Warrior there in 6th behind Slipstream, who's in 5th. Born as Ghost in 7th. Fear the Fun in 8th. Joe Beardy now has fallen back to 9th. Let's go to Joe, who's got Audrex behind him in 10th. As they come up to the hairpin, turn 1. A true hairpin. VIR here in Alton, Virginia, 1.65 miles. In the dark, they could have opted for some rain, but instead went for the shut-eye, the nighttime environment. On the south course, not full VIR track, just the south circuit. Slipstream 5th, Celtic in 6th, Fear the Fun 7th. Let's go to Fear the Fun, who we talked to there. Managed a 5th place finish out at Laguna Seca after having started at the back of the pack in 16th position thanks to dirty lap during qualifying. Was unable to obtain a clean lap. He was able to get a clean lap here at VIR and is running in 7th. Let's see if he can make a move around Celtic. Let's go ahead and hop on board here. A Taco Bell car, all Fear. THD Reckless saying, I just play Forza Motorsport 6, so I know the tracks on there under the Porsche expansion. That's right, yeah, that's where VIR came about, is through the Porsche expansion. There goes Celtic getting a little squirrely. That's going to allow Born as Ghost to get by, and now let's see if Audrex not able to get through despite that little mishap there. Meza continues to lead the pack with Crimson and Kratrum in 3rd, Funtang in 4th. And again, first through fourth have a pretty good bit of separation between them and Slipstream in fifth. And even Foontang in fourth is starting to fall off the pace a little bit. Let's go to third with Cratrian. Nova asking all-wheel drive. They are not. These are front-wheel drive configured SRT4s, just as they come here in Forza Motorsport 7, and just as they came in the real world. That's one of the misconceptions about the SRT4 and even the ACR, is that some folks think, oh, well, they were all-wheel drive, right? That would make a lot of sense. No. The ACRs, there were 1,100, just over 1,100 of them made in that front-wheel drive configuration with a 2.4-liter turbocharged inline-4. The ACRs out of the manufacturer, off the assembly line and on the showroom floor, the ACRs grabbed themselves wider wheels and tires. They had a little bit of a lower ride height than the SRT. Also getting some adjustable dampers and shock absorbers with a thicker stabilizer bar. And in their standard configuration as an ACR before they upgraded the vehicles here in FM7, 230 horsepower with 2,600 foot-pounds of torque, or 250 foot-pounds of torque, and they came in at 2,900 pounds. They've now shaved off about 300 pounds or more here to 2,600, and up the horsepower to 263 with 286 foot-pound of torque. And there's Meza, Crimson, and Cratrian 1 through 3. Then it's Foontang in fourth, who has fallen off the pace very much so here as Slipstream now starts to close in on him in fifth position. And oh no, getting the black screen here. We're back. I'll have to double check to see who we might have lost there. VIR claiming some victims on maybe the connection front here in the world of virtual racing, when we're not on a local network and everybody's just dialed in off their internet provider anywhere across the country or across the world, across the globe. Sometimes the connections can wreak havoc, and all we can do is chalk that up as a maybe like an engine malfunction. That's the equivalent of it, at least here in the virtual world. Fear the Fun in 6th, Celtic 7, Joe Beardy in 8th, Slow Motion Fire. Audrex is still on the track, T-Phrase in 11th, Myrtle in 12th, the Skier Kid in 13th. I'll look at the ticker across the top to see who we might have lost. Mesosphere has now gained, it was Crimson. We lost Crimson, and you hate to see it. Fortunately for Crimson, he's got 2 good weeks to fall back on, but certainly he would have loved to have had 2 top 3 finishes here in week number 3. Yikes. Oh, and Nova clarifying that you meant on a racing wheel versus a controller versus what I was talking to, which was the drivetrain configuration. No, a lot of them are on controller, as that has been, I want to say subjectively, although it's very much close to objectively saying that the controller is faster because you're able to adjust the angle of the wheels much quicker on a thumbstick than you can with a wheel. So a lot of drivers opt for a controller. But yeah, as Reckless points out, get a part of the league and then hop on Discord with these guys, and during practice sessions, before they start the season, they do a couple of practice sessions, and then you can get some tips and tricks from these drivers. So again, even if you don't think that you're the most competitive driver, there's a great range of diversity in terms of skill level here on the track, and you can learn a lot from these guys, from the top echelon drivers to those who are kind of getting their feet wet just like you would be. Get in here in the FM4 League, in the FM4 Series, and even if you're not anticipating on being the most competitive driver, just get out there and have fun. Have a good time. All you got to do is race clean, and then he'll be welcome back week after week. And you hate to see it, Crimson falling out there, DNF. And he'll at least pick up 3 points. But again, this will probably be his drop week as a result. And you especially hate to see it after his exceptional performance there in our previous race out at Laguna Seca. He would have loved to have repeated that here in race 6 of season 30. So it's Meza who continues to lead. Cratrim now has an open pathway to Meza if he can catch up, so we'll keep our eye on that. Funtang in 3rd, Slipstream in 4th, Born is Ghost in 5th, Fear the Fun in 6th, Celtic Warrior in 7th, Joe Beardy in 8th, Soul Motion Fire in 9th, Audrex in 10th, and that's where we have to look to find our closest battle. Audrex and T-Phrase battling it out for 10th position, and they even have 9th within reach here. And we'll go ahead and hop on board here on the hood of T-Phrase. You can see him modulating, or hear him modulating the throttle of the SRT4 Neon. And Nova saying F in chat for Crimson. Indeed. Yeah, we could even go a step further and not a fail for Crimson, but a fail for either the connection or perhaps he got spun around and I just didn't catch it and just decided to call it quits. But either way, we'll go ahead and throw the Shadow 288 fail there in the chat for him. Disappointing finish for Crimson, who had a promising start here in week 3. Our first race tonight concluded the first half of season 30, so now we are officially on the back half of season 30. We'll have 2 more races next Tuesday, same time, same channel, 8 p.m. Eastern. Heading out to Laguna Seca, or excuse me, not Laguna Seca, we have already done that, been there, done that. The Test Track Airfield, the full circuit, which has no pit lane, so they'll come off the simulation damage for that race, and then a track to look forward to, the Daytona Sport Car Circuit, there for race number 8, and then again, 2 weeks from tonight, Yas Marina, there on November 5th, the finale, the North Circuit, under the lights, 56 laps. Soul Motion Fire there in 9th. Audrex now having moved up to 10th. T-Phrase in 11th. Myrtle in 12th. Skier Kid. Let's go to Skier Kid here in 13th, who's trying to find his way around Myrtle. Can he do it? Not going to happen there as they go through hairpin turn number 1. Did you guys watch the 24 Hours of Zolder? Asked Nova. I didn't catch it myself. I did not. I've actually been off of the, now that the American football has started, I've kind of fallen out of my real-world motorsport watching and have jumped into football. Crimson had a medical issue come up. It wasn't a disconnect. Okay, Crimson. Well, hopefully everything's okay. And obviously our drivers, there are priorities in life, and so when things come up that require attention away from the game, then obviously that's well advised, and so good on Crimson for doing that. Again, hopefully everything is okay on his end, and hopefully we'll see you back out on the track here in week number 4. Going back up to Cratrim here, who again is going to try to make a run at Mesosphere. He's got plenty of laps to do it. More than half the race remaining. But Mesosphere breathing a little bit easier in this one, at least for now. But don't get too lax. Funtang now well off the pace, but still in a top 3 position right now. He's got Slipstream behind him, but by a good margin. Then it's Fear the Fun, who's in 5th. That's where he was last race, and if he can keep his pace up, maybe he'll grab another spot or 2, or at the very least, stay in the top 5. Behind Fear the Fun is Born as Ghost in 6th. Good run by him. Joe Beardy in 7th. Another great run by Joe Beardy. Celtic Warrior in 8th. Those 2 names, keep tabs of Joe and Celtic. Maybe not through the remainder of season 30, although they are doing quite well with these top 10s. But I would say look to hear more about those guys and their progress if they're able to make it into Season 31 and continue to ride on board here with Cratrium as they head back up to the line for the start of lap 14. As Meza triggers it in the counter in the top left. 24 laps. That 25th lap will be a cool-down lap. Funtang there in third. Let's see, he's closing in on... Well, no, he's not closing in on anything. Slipstream is trying to close in on Funtang. Let's go back to Audrex there in 10th position, back behind Slow Motion Fire, who's found himself now up to 9th. T-Phrase in 11th, and oh no, there's a... actually, that was one of our drivers. I saw it. I didn't mention it, but one of our drivers was parked into the corner of turn 3A and has decided to back out. Should have stayed in the game, though, because a disconnect will only yield you 3 points, or a DNF will only yield you 3 points versus finishing in one of these top 15 spots, which would get you a lot more. What's up there, Cosmic Cowboy? Rooting on Funtang. As we see Slow Motion opening the door there for Audrex. Audrex now going to jump back up to 9th spot. As these three exchange position. And oh no, there goes Audrex off into the grass. And yeah, you can't cut through there. There's a tire wall there. And now that puts him well off the pace. Slow Motion Fire. T-Phrase, 9 and 10. Let's go to T-Phrase. Let's see if he can make a run at slow. And Slow Motion Fire off the track here through turn 5. Cosmic Cowboy saying it's so dark. I know. Unfortunately, we're not getting the best view possible. Again, I applaud the drivers because this is kind of a wild card here in Season 30. This in the dark driving on a pretty narrow circuit VIR. But we'll bring it back into the lights here in week 4 at Test Track, Airfield, Daytona, and then Yas Marina. Even though 2 of those are in the dark, they'll have plenty of lighting up above. Here at VIR, pitch black. And now Slow Motion Fire allows T-Phrase to get on through, and by allow, I don't mean that he was waving the white flag by any means, or the white cloth to give up. T-Phrase just making that good of a pass. They're coming out of turn 1, and now he'll be in a top 10 spot here. Slow Motion Fire in 10th. Audrex in 11th trying to catch up. Myrtle in 12th, and we've lost a couple of drivers. Crimson again mentioning he had a medical emergency which took him out of this race. He was running nice up there in 2nd position. Let's go to 2nd, which is Cratrium. And both the headlamps there on his Dodge Neon illuminated. That's good. Maximum brightness leading you around the track here. And again, the South Circuit would be my preferred track if I were to race any of these VIR configurations, especially in the dark. There are a lot more complex ribbons than this. And so maybe the drivers, that was a bit of a relief for them. As our Virtual Autosports Instant Replay tries to take a look at that pass there by T-Phrase on Slow Motion Fire coming into turn 1. A little bit ago, although yeah, again it's dark. It's dark. Dustin Moore on the call, and man, fortunately, this race has allowed me to catch my breath. We were all pegged to the uppermost part of the RPM adrenaline meter there at Laguna Seca, and so now this one's allowed me to kind of bring down that temper a little in Mesosphere. He's leading our race, trying to go back to back to back to back to back to back 6 times here in Season 30. And he told us last Tuesday, he's out here to win. He's not going to lie down. He has not yet won a championship here in the Forza Spec Racing Series in the 3 or 4 seasons that he's raced, to my knowledge. And And so he's trying to make it happen here in Season 30 with these Dodge Neons, and then that would give him rights to pick up the car in Season 31. The Dodge coming by way of Craytrim, who has 10 championships here in FM4. So again, if I had my chance, if I had voting rights, and if even such a thing existed here in FM4, I would put Craytrim into the Forza Spec Racing Series Hall of Fame. No question. Futang still there in third, Slipstream in fourth. Fear the Fun is closing in. Fear the Fun looking really, really good here in these Dodge Neons. He didn't have necessarily the best of runs there on week number 1, but definitely turned it around there in week 2 with 2 6th-place finishes. That was able to net him 36 points in each race and put him up in, I think, 5th or 6th position overall on the leaderboard. Or maybe 7th. To check that. We got a driver who's off the track. That's going to be Myrtle there in 12th, and if he stays out on the track in 12th position, he'll net himself 22 points. So maybe after traffic has gone by, he'll get back out on the circuit and pull a few more laps there. Let's go back to Fear the Fun. He's going to try to make a run on Slip. Slip, who did not run in week number 1, but did in week 2. And now has to make some good point pickups here through the remainder of the season, knowing that his first week with an big old goose egg in the points column, that'll be his drop week. 5 weeks of racing. They'll take your top 4. The driver with the most points wins the championship, but even if you don't win the championship, come see how good you can do. Put yourself through the paces of the Dodge Neon here in the remaining 2 weeks, or just get yourself ready for season number 31. All the details over there at reddit.com/r/FM4. We've seen at least 4 or 5 new name gamer tags out here on the track in season 30. We'd love to see you compete out here. I get it. Forza Motorsport 7 has been around for more than 2 years now, and it'll be around for another year as we wait the next iteration of the Forza Motorsport franchise, or if it's even going to be Forza Motorsport, who knows. Turn 10 could throw us for a loop and do something completely different, but we know that there will not be a Forza Motorsport title here this year. Looking to next holiday season when the currently codenamed Scarlet Xbox platform launches, and of course knowing that Forza is crossplay on the Xbox and the PC. If you want to pick up on PC, then you can race with those folks here as well. Xbox One or PC is what we're doing here in season 30 and on through the remainder of the seasons of FM4 before we see what maybe the next Forza title is going to give us in terms of league and series-based racing. And hopefully the makers of Forza over there at Turn 10 Studios will perhaps put more of an emphasis on the lobby configurations, what race organizers and hosts can do, knowing that obviously Forza Racing Championship is very much restricted by the capabilities of the private lobby system. So it would behoove the FRC and all of us as independent organizers to have more options to play with, make these events that much more exciting. Fear the Fun, by the way, moving up to 4th around Slipstream. Meza still in first, and they're about to encounter lap traffic here with 5 laps to go here. Well, make that 4.5 at this point. Let's go up to 2nd position here with Craytrim. There's so much fire, he's up into the tire wall, able to come back out of the track cleanly as he waves 1 and 2 on by. THD Reckless says, when Forza Motorsport 8 comes out, I'm going to do an IndyCar league so that I can recruit talent to race with me in other IndyCar leagues. Nova with the 11 bits and the Terminator. I'll be back. Keep it up. I'm going to go throw the fair lady around the track. Keep it clean, boys. Thank you very much there, Nova. Greatly appreciate those 11 bits. And thank you for that follow a little bit earlier on, and we hope to see you again here on Virtual Auto Sports in the not-too-distant future. We'll be back at it live again a week from tonight for week number 4. In these very same Dodge Neons, but out at the Test Track Airfield and the Daytona Sport Car Circuit. Those are going to be 2 phenomenal races. No question. No question. This one here at VIR kind of turning out to be a lot like the Rio track in that we've got contingents of competition out there on the track, but for the most part, the action has dispersed. We look back to 3rd and 4th. That's going to be Funtang, who's up to 3rd. Well done, Funtang. Fear the Fun in 4th, and Slipstream in 5th. Let's go to Fear the Fun and see if he can maybe make a move here. Fear the Fun, he told us maybe get a top 3, a podium spot here in this race. And he's making a strong case for that. He is. And there goes Fear the Fun as they go through the through turn 3 and 4. Well done. Fear the Fun. Currently running 3rd. He's got Funtang on the outside there in that NVIDIA car. But the Taco Bell liveried Neon now in the top 3 spot with Slipstream right behind them. It's going to be, well, as we see Cratrium, or I see Cratrium has fallen off the pace a little bit more from Mesosphere. So we're going to hang tight here with 3, 4, and 5 in these remaining 3 laps. And actually, 2 laps. It is a 24-lap race with the final one being a cooldown. And here they go across the line for their 23rd run. Let's jump back to Slipstream in 5th, and then we're going to hop onto the hood view so that we can see a little bit better what's going on here in the pitch dark as we get a little bit of a sunrise there off onto the north, well, that would be the east side of the track, obviously. The sun coming up here at VIR, although it's not going to give us enough lighting here toward the end of this race. This final 1.5 laps. Mesosphere coming around turn 9, that final right-hander back toward the start-finish line for the white flag. Meza, then Cratrium. Reckless asking, why is Meza such a god, though? Yeah, well, you get that. I mean, you got drivers who just... They know the ins and outs of the Forza physics and how these cars handle. And like anything, whether it be real-world sports, esports, there's going to be folks who just, they know the ins and outs. They know how to get the very most, in our case here, the vehicles. And sometimes it's not a matter of the amount of time and familiarity you have with the Forza title. Sometimes, I mean, we've seen drivers who may have come off of the Gran Turismo world and recently emerged in the Forza world, and they've done famously since. So there's just gamers who have that knack for picking up the controller and being able to figure out the nuances of games and be able to do some pretty spectacular things. And now Mesosphere has come across the line with the win here at VIR, the South Course. Cratrium in 2nd. We're hanging out here 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Fear the Fun looking to take a top 3 finish. And Futang going a little bit wide there through the final corners. Turn 8, then 9. Able to manage a 4th place finish. 5th goes to Slipstream. Let's go back to 6th. Looks like it's going to go to Joe Beardy. Let's go to Born as Ghosts here in 7th. And actually, let's drop back even a spot further with Celtic Warrior in 8th position as he looks at the back bumper of Born as Ghosts. Coming up to 8-9. And Joe keeping it nice and clean. Well done, Joe. 6th place finish for him. 7th place finish for Born as Ghost. That's a great finish for Ghost. And Celtic getting close to making it a run there on that run back toward the start-finish line. Celtic in 8th, T-Phrase in 9th. Pretty decent race here at VIR, the South Course. Obviously not as close as our first race here tonight, but exciting nonetheless. Meza with the win. That'll be 6 straight for him. Kratroom in 2nd. Fear the Fun. That dude's looking strong here in season 30. Futang in 4th. Slipstream 5th. Joe in 6th. Born as Ghost 7th. Celtic in 8th. And I'm writing these down because unfortunately with the cooldown lap, this will all get discombobulated in the post-race results, so you're going to have to take me at my word that I'm writing these down correctly. Slow. And then we had a couple of DNFs a little bit behind that. Folks, we'll go ahead and let our drivers wrap things up here at VIR with the cooldown lap, and so that we can give our advertisers a little bit of love. 60 minutes of ads, and then we'll come back with some driver interviews in the driver spotlight. I'm Dustin Moore, Virtual Autosports, closing up week number 3 here in the Forza Spec Racing Series. And welcome back to you all here, Virtual Autosports Live on Twitch TV, wrapping up week number 3 of the Forza Motorsport Spec Racing Series, season number 30, with a race today out at Laguna Seca, which was by far one of the more exciting races that I've ever broadcasted, and then our race here in the dark out at Virginia International Raceway, the South Course, with Mesosphere picking up his 6th straight win here in season 30. And that win, you had a little bit more chance to breathe, maybe not have so much of a firm grip on the controller, eh, Meza?
Yes and no. When you got CT behind you, yeah, you may have a 2-second gap, but any mistakes in that 2 seconds doesn't stay 2 for very long. I mean, his pace was extraordinary, so I was still pushing, maybe not defending like I was in race 1 tonight, but pushing all the way. I couldn't let off, and in fact, at one point, dropped nearly a second to him in one lap with just one small mistake. But no, he is an absolute robot, and he was just pushing me all the way to the flag. So, yeah, no, still a good race, but a different feel to it.
That's about as good as accolades as you can give another driver, is that they're a robot. They're almost able to do this thing, this racing thing, this virtual racing thing without much thought. They just kind of go through the motions. And so talking with Mesosphere, giving kudos to Kratroom. And yes, to your point, you had a little bit more room to breathe, but with Kratroom pulling a blistering time behind you, you couldn't get lax at all. How was that race in the dark, VIR, so kind of a much narrow track compared to that of Laguna Seca? Was that a challenge for you, or was it?
The circuit itself is a challenge. Yeah. I got to say, I glanced over at the stream. I must admit, I'm trying to concentrate, so I had both you and the Discord deafened, although I had the Discord deafened by accident. We had a completely different time of day to you.
Cool. You guys had
Spectator view doesn't seem to have any time progression.
Yeah.
So we had dawn or dusk, whichever way around it was. So it was actually quite light out there, so visibility wasn't bad. So at least for me it wasn't. So yeah, it made seeing what was coming up easier. But that track is really narrow, and there's this crazy left hand right there's a left, right, left complex, which is nuts because you go over the crest into the first one, and it's so hard to be consistent through there. And I know when I did it well because I would come out of there a tenth or two faster than Kratom. I know when I did it poorly, I would lose half a second there. He did it same time every time. So it's like, right, okay. So yeah, it wasn't as bad as it probably looked on screen because I glanced over and it was pitch black all race, and it wasn't for us.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. I was obviously spectating from a different dimension, having a different time of day there, but good to know that you guys had a little bit more light to work with. So here you go. You got 6 wins through the first 6 races of Season 30. That's not going to be easy to maintain. What do you got to do here in the last 3 races to be able to come away with the sweep? Obviously, staying out front is the answer, but what's it going to take to hold off the likes of Crimson and Kratrium?
Probably a bit of luck. I actually don't even know what the next 2 tracks are, so I don't even know what next week is. I think the last week is Brands, and I know one of them is Daytona, and I do like Daytona.
Oh, you probably wish it were Brands, but no, you've got Test Track Airfield and then the Daytona Sport Car Circuit next week.
I meant the last week.
Well, and even the last week is going to be Yas Marina, the North Circuit.
Oh, yeah. No, so I'm wrong on all counts. Okay, so Test Track Airfield, they're doing a weird route.
Uh-huh. The full circuit. So yeah, you're gonna have the the building.
They're doing a route that technically is off track, so it's a weird thing through the warehouses, hangars, what have you. So I'm actually going to have to practice, which is not something I am prone to do. I like this series because it's a bit more casual. I turn up, people do an hour practice beforehand, and we go. Right. It's nice. It's a semi-casual thing. It's great. I don't know this route. I haven't got a clue where they're going, so I'm actually going to have to settle down with someone and go, where's this track go? And figure that one out. So I'm 50-50 on that one, because to be fair, none of us really drive it. It's fine. At the Oval, well, actually, it's the sports car version, isn't it, at Daytona?
It is.
It's the full.
You get to do the 24-hour
Daytona 24-hour track. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that track I'm fine with. I've done many 24 hours on very different games, iRacing, Forza, what have you. So driving in the night there, that's not. Getting this car through the bus stop, it's going to be an interesting affair, but otherwise, I think that one's going to be a pretty decent race. Yes, Marina. I'm going to have to work on how this thing jumps the curbs because it's going to be touring car style. But taking home the sweep is going to take a lot of, I think, a bit of luck because these guys have been stepping it up. Week 1, I got to walk away a bit. Have you noticed how week 2, Mateo, this week they're on my side? It's getting harder and harder. So
it's a very, I know you said casual, it's kind of a more relaxed league, of course, but with all the trappings of competition involved.
Oh yeah, and the competition is getting closer and closer, so I may actually try and, like I say, learn the route. Certainly the test track. Daytona I'm not too worried about. Yeah. The car itself, when they did, before the season started, they did a test in June, and the car itself actually runs really nicely at Daytona. So I'm not worried about that one so much as, get a bit of a warm up in before it and then go racing. But this test track one, I am concerned about. To me, this was going to be the second bogey week after week 2. Week 2, I managed to get away with. This week, I was feeling semi-confident after week 1, and they've got closer still. So now I'm really hesitant towards next week. And the sweep, it's on. I'm going to try my best to do it. But
that's all you can do. And I know probably some of the other drivers having the same sentiment as you with regards to the test field air track and that. Whatever combination of words that I meant to say there, because they're already out there. They're already out there practicing right now as we speak. So, Mesosphere, congratulations, 6 wins there as we're now entering the back half of season 30. We'll be here back again a week from tonight. We'll see if you can do it again. 2 races there out at the Test Track Airfield and then Daytona.
I'll try my best, and thanks for the great broadcast once again.
Yes, sir.
Catch you guys soon.
Make sure you guys check out Mesosphere here live on Twitch as well, twitch.tv /Mesosphere. That's MESASPHERE. and give him a follow here and let him know that you came over from Virtual Autosport. He broadcasts all kinds of racing action and even some painting stuff and other video games, not just Forza. And now we take turn our attention to Fear the Fun, who called his shot saying, hey, I want to try to get into the top 3, able to make it happen there toward the latter half of the race, finishing 3rd there behind Cratrium and out in front of Foon, saying, well done there, Fear.
Thanks, man.
Was it as easy as it may have looked from our broadcast, or were you having to really challenge yourself there in the dark at VIR?
Did you see what happened to me at the beginning of the race?
All I saw were a bunch of headlamps.
I was stopped on the track and I fell all the way back to last place.
Actually, now that you mention it, we did see the back of your Taco Bell SRT4 sitting there at the line during the start, and I think I did make a mention of it.
Yeah, I was trying to fix my computer. It was being weird, and just like I clicked back on Forza thinking I had time, but it did bad things.
So the first race out at Laguna Seca, you give yourself a disadvantage by not posting a clean lap time. Then in the second race, you had to fiddle with your computer. So that's quite impressive that despite those struggles heading into each race, you're able to turn it around, getting a top 10 finish and then a top 3 finish. Man, you're going to look good on the point standing here moving forward. You called your shot here on this race. Where do you want to be after the next 2 weeks are all said and done on the leaderboard?
As everybody knows, I've got to be ahead of Foon and I got to be ahead of Slipstream. Those are my competitors. Mm-hmm. We have a friendly rivalry, me and Foon specifically, but me and Slipstream like to mix it up. He likes to run away from me sometimes. I got to chase him down.
So what is that feeling? Tell us, because I don't know that this has happened often here, and that's not discrediting you any, but I think at least in the time that I've been broadcasting, not often do you find yourself out in front of Foontank and Slipstream, and now you've done both. You're able to get around both here. What does that feel like to you?
It's a relief, because they're both really, really fast drivers, mm-hmm. And just being able to go past them or pass them in any way, shape, or form without wrecking them, as I've been known to do, it feels really, really good.
And with these great runs, and we're talking with Fear the Fun here in the driver's spotlight at the end of week number 3 here in the Forza Spec Racing Series, with your performance in week number 2 and what you did here today in week number 3, what would you say, how have you come accustomed and got acquainted with the SRT4? Is it a pretty good, loving relationship between you and the car now?
I've always hated front-wheel drive cars on Forza. I don't think they drive like they should, but I don't hate it. It's a lot better than the last front-wheel drive car we did on FM4. It's a lot better.
A lot better. All right. Well, maybe it's one of those things that the ACR was obviously built to be more of a sporty, well-performing car, so maybe that heritage has come with it into the virtual world. Fear the Fun, I look forward to seeing the points tallied up. I know Slow Motion Fire is going to get to that here at the end of all the activity tonight, see what the scoreboard looks like, and then, of course, we'll visit that at the beginning of next week's broadcast, same time at 8 p.m. Eastern. Good chatting with you, and we'll look forward to seeing you in week 4.
May I say one thing?
Oh, yeah, by all means. Go for it.
Born as Ghost, yes, I do like to hear myself talk. Thank you very much.
Hey, I don't blame you. And here's what I would say, even more, to piggyback on that, Fear the Fun. Nobody else is jumping into the driver's spotlight except for you and Meza. So those guys, man, they're coming up short.
Yeah, man, they're slacking on the stream. They can't even get in here and put in effort. I'm in here putting in effort and getting third place finishes. What are they doing?
We need to talk to Slow Motion Fire and say that there's at least a 1 interview requirement for a season. You got to at least chat with us once, right?
You know what? You should just start cherry picking out people out of the race chat. Just pull them in. No warning. Just yank them in.
Get them to talk. Fear the Fun. Hey, I do appreciate you chatting with me here at the end of these races, especially with races where you can come away with a big old smile on your face, because I know not all the time it happens, but you've done well here in season 30. And so with that being said, I'll leave it to you. Any last words that you want to say, not only to Born as Ghost, but anybody else in FM4 or maybe to our viewers?
I'm coming for you, Foon.
Oh, I like it. Throwing it down. Fear the Fun, good talking with you. We'll see you next week.
Yes, sir. Have a good day.
You too. All right, folks, that does it for me as we wrap up yet another spectacular night here, a Tuesday night in the Forza Spec Racing Series, season number 30. That's the books on week number 3. We head into week number 4 next Tuesday. Again, same bat time, same bat channel, out at the Test Track Airfield first. 27 laps around that full circuit, and that's a doozy. If you guys haven't seen that fictional track here on the Forza Motorsport Spec Racing Series broadcast, you do want to check it out. That's going to be a hoot. There's jumps, there's hangars that you got to navigate through. It's crazy. And then out to the Daytona Sport Car Circuit, back out onto a real track before they go into the Yas Marina North Circuit finale on week 5, November 5th. 56 laps in that one, 15 there at the Daytona Sport Car Circuit. Folks, it's been a pleasure as always. Dustin Moore here on the call in week number 3, and what an exciting one it was. If you missed our broadcast all throughout and you want to catch it live with some of the racers who are going to watch it back, watch the rerun back live, we'll have that for you here shortly with a very limited intro so that you can get right into the racing action. For those of you who followed, there were quite a few of you. For the bits from Nova, thank you very much. My appreciation, and those of you who have been watching, if you haven't yet clicked that follow button, please do. Again, it lets me know as the broadcaster that I'm doing something right here, and we hope to see you back here a week from tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern, for week number 5. That's going to do it for me, folks. If you get any more Forza racing action in, or any racing action, either in the real world or the virtual world, please, as always, keep it fun, keep it safe, keep it clean. We'll see you next time. Virtual Auto Sports. Have a great rest of the week. Forza Racing Championship here on Saturday. Check it out. Y'all take care. Have a great rest of the evening.